Did Jon Gruden win the Super Bowl with Tony Dungy's team? Someone give me a bat. Let's beat this dead horse. Hey everyone, welcome back to The Play Reaction. If this is your first time here, this is the place where we deep dive into Tampa Bay Buccaneers topics. So if you're a Bucs fan, hit that subscribe button so you know when a new video is up, and remember to follow me on Twitter and join in on our weekly live stream so we can continue the conversation. Today we're going to address a debate that, frankly, I'm shocked we're still having today. I thought we were past it, but more frequently than I should, I hear someone blurt out that Jon Gruden won the Super Bowl with Tony Dungy's team. Maybe it did finally die for a short time, but with Gruden's induction into the Ring of Honor last year and the announcement of Dungy getting inducted this year, it seems as though the age-old debate in Tampa has been reignited. So let's put it to rest for good, shall we? Okay, the answer is no. No, he didn't. Thanks for watching, everyone, and remember to subscribe and follow me on Twitter. Go Bucs. Slide the thing in, guys. Fine, we'll go over it. Let's take it from the beginning. Tony Dungy will forever be known as the head coach who turned the laughingstock Yucks into the dominant, relentless defensive Bucs. This franchise was abysmal for most of their 20-year existence, and Dungy brought Tampa Bay to the playoffs in his second year. Along with the help of his assistant coaches over the years, which included future head coaches Herm Edwards, Lovie Smith, Rod Marinelli, and Mike Tomlin, as well as the co-mastermind of the now famous Tampa 2 coverage scheme Monty Kiffin, the Bucs became one of the most feared, respected, and greatest defenses of all time. Oh, it also didn't hurt having future Hall of Famers Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks on his team too, along with a few others who were in that conversation. The Bucs became a force to be reckoned with in the NFL and perennial playoff contenders thanks to its nasty defense. They even held the infamous greatest show on turf to 11 points in the 1999 NFC Championship game. Tony Dungy wasn't only an amazing head coach and leader, he was and is an incredible person. He has a quiet demeanor, never misses church, and never got into a player's face, yet had the full respect of every player in that locker room. He is a personal hero of mine because of who he was on the field and off of it. But there was a small issue. As great as his defenses were, his offenses were subpar. They could never find a quarterback who could take over games and win the close ones. The defense was historic and would always keep the score low, but unfortunately so would the offense. They may have held the greatest show on turf to 11 points in the NFC Championship game, but the offense could only muster 6 points themselves, which was partly the refs' fault. So, Dungy was fired in 2002 after multiple appearances in the playoffs and multiple examples of the offense holding the team back. Enter Jon Gruden. The Glazers traded a bunch of valuable picks to the Raiders to get this guy, who was an offensive mastermind. He was responsible for Oakland becoming one of the top offenses in the league, and the expectation was that he was just the guy to fix the Bucs offense. Sure enough, Gruden's first year as head coach ended with the Bucs hoisting the Lombardi Trophy and high school CORY joyfully weeping himself to bed. After that, the Bucs were up and down, sometimes winning the division and sometimes coming in last place. One thing they haven't done since is win a playoff game. That led to a question that has divided the Bucs fan base for many years. Did Jon Gruden just cash in on the team that Tony Dungy built? Since Gruden was rumored to come back to the Bucs last year and eventually ended up returning with the Raiders, the question is as loud now as it ever was before. But the answer remains the same. No, he didn't. Not exactly. The biggest knock on Dungy is that his offenses could never get the job done in the playoffs. In their last 3 playoff losses under his rule, the offense failed to even score a touchdown. So what did Gruden do to solve that problem? Let's take a look at the offensive starters for the playoffs in his first year. You'll see the guys that Gruden brought in. See some names you recognize? What are Joe Jurevicius, Keenan McCardell, and Michael Pittman known for the most in Tampa Bay? They were big keys to this offense in the playoffs. Jurevicius had one of the most iconic moments in Bucs history when he caught a pass and ran for 71 yards in the NFC Championship game. He also ended up on the cover of Sports Illustrated after the Super Bowl win. McCardell and Pittman both showed up big in the Super Bowl as well. Keenan had 2 touchdowns while Pitt and his freakish biceps ran for 124 yards. All 3 key players in the offense that year. All 3 brought in by Jon Gruden. And let's not forget tight ends Ricky Dudley and Ken Dilger, who accounted for around 500 yards and 5 touchdowns that season, as well as starting offensive linemen Roman Oben and Kerry Jenkins. All key players to this offense. It also can't be understated how big of an impact Gruden had on Brad Johnson, who had one of the best and most efficient years of his career. Now, if you're on the other side of this argument, you've been yelling at your screen about how the Gruden offense actually ranked lower than the Dungy offense the year before. And yes, that's true. But remember, Dungy was fired mostly because of the playoff performances. In 6 playoff games, his offenses only scored a combined 59 points. Gruden's 0-2 Bucs scored a total of 106 points in just 3 playoff games, almost double the points in half of the games in one season. You could also argue that the biggest difference between those 2 years is that the Bucs defense ranked number 1 overall in Gruden's first year, and that was Dungy's doing, right? Well, let's take a look at the starters on defense that year. This is who Gruden brought in. Greg Spires. Yeah, this looks like Dungy's defense. Here's all the players that Dungy brought in. That's most of the defense and some pretty iconic players. But did you notice who's missing? That's right, 2 Hall of Famers and 1 Hall of Fame finalist. A common misconception amongst the casual fans is that Derrick Brooks, Warren Sapp, and John Lynch were drafted by Tony Dungy. In actuality, those 3 players were drafted by Sam Wyche. That's right, 3 of the most impactful players on that number 1 defense that Gruden inherited were also inherited by Dungy. Take those 3 players off this defense, and what does it look like? Does Simeon Rice get as many sacks without Warren Sapp taking double teams? Does Rondé Barber get as many picks without Derrick Brooks and John Lynch taking away the middle of the field? Or without Sapp disrupting the timing of the QB? One can't say for sure, but I think I can say with certainty that this defense would not have been top 10 without those 3 players, much less 1 overall. Okay, fine. So maybe that just means that Gruden inherited a team from Dungy and Wyche. Either way, Dungy made those players who they were. He's the one who sat Brooks and Sapp down and challenged them to be the leaders they became, right? That is true, and a very good point. However, one must also consider what the players themselves say about Dungy. Sapp has been on record saying that Dungy was a great man and great coach, but he always favored the defense, which means he was constantly on them to get better, while maybe going a little soft on the offense.
I think I can say this because he's in the position that he's in. He just let the offense lax too much. He really did.
It always felt like the offense wasn't held to the same standards that we were held to, and there started to be some tension.
And you go time after time after time to the playoffs. It's time you do something. He just had a too lax attitude for that ball club, for that time, for us. But I love him to death.
Sapp also said this in an interview with Pewter Report. Gruden held us accountable on both sides of the ball. Plus, I've never seen a coach command a room like Gruden. Plain and simple, Tony Dungy made this defense great, but it was at the expense of the offense. Jon Gruden brought in the same passion, but this time harped on the offense too, and that was exactly what the Bucs needed at the time to go to the next level. Oh, and one final tidbit. The defense never ranked number 1 under Dungy. Once he left and the defense was left completely in the hands of Monty Kiffin, the Bucs defense ranked number 1 twice. So here's my final thought. I can't believe it. Here we are rehashing an old debate 16 years later. I guess this is what happens when a franchise doesn't do a whole lot of winning over that time span. Did Gruden win with Dungy's team? Did Dungy win with Sam Wyche's team? Who cares? Tony Dungy got his ring in the end, and both coaches will be in the Ring of Honor, and deservedly so. Together, they conducted a stretch of 10 years where this team was in the playoffs more times than they weren't. So let's celebrate both of them and hope we can get back to the days of being a relevant team again. If we're lucky, we may even get back to the point where we're calling for a coach to be fired simply because he took us to the playoffs too much without a Super Bowl victory. Oh, to be so spoiled again. Thanks for watching, guys, and remember to subscribe, check out my weekly live streams, and follow me on social media to continue the debate and the conversation. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Till next time, go Bucs.